Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all well. It's actually Friday here, so I hope you've got a lovely weekend ahead. I haven't done a video this week for my YouTube channel, so I thought I'd stop by, and even if I'm going to create something tiny, something that takes 15 minutes, I still want to try and keep my YouTube so it's active. So sometimes I might create something that takes a while, sometimes I might create something that takes 15 minutes. It's just my way of just being creative so that I don't go all week and I'm not creative. It keeps my hand in, so that's what I like to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the gel press, but at the moment it's still got details on there, so I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is grab my brayer, which I didn't do. Typical, I didn't grab my brayer. So just grabbing my brayer, and I'm just going to clean up the gel press a little bit, just to see if I can clean, oh that's handy, see if I can just clean up some of anything that's on there at the moment. There might not be much on there, but I just want to make sure that I just give it a clean. Now, if you want to clean it a different way, what you can do is you can put your paint on like I'm doing now, and you can use packaging tape, the clear tape, the wide clear tape. And if you use that, it picks up everything. I don't know whether I've got any here. It picks up everything off your gel plate, and it's absolutely brilliant because it picks up every detail. But as you can see, I definitely still got things on the gel press. So I'm glad I'm just giving that a bit of a clean, because I get an extra background. So I've got an extra background there that I can use for something else. So that's the way I can clean it. Or you can get some packaging tape. Let's just move this out. Obviously you can clean it with a baby wipe and just rub it clean, but I'm trying to show you some different ways that you can clean your gel plate. So say you've got lots of crusty layers on there, you can use your packaging tape. Obviously I'm not going to have anything there because it's clear, but you can use your packaging tape and it will pick up everything on your gel plate. And can you see, let me just lift that up, I've got that pattern on my packaging tape, just so that you can see the patterns on there. You can see it more on the other side. So it's a great way to clean up my gel press, just so that, and if I'd got lots of detail on there, then I would have used it in a background, but there's not much detail on there. So I'm just going to pick up what I've got on the gel press, just to make sure that most of the layers from my gel press are actually picked up, just so that I get exactly what I've got on the gel press when I create my print. Because I'm going to use blues and greens, and I don't really want a bit of pink on there. So sometimes it's nice just to give it a bit of a clean. And then if you've got lots of detail in your gel press, this packaging tape is fantastic as a background. You can put over some matte medium and it works brilliantly. So that's sufficient enough for me. So now I've got what I class as a clean gel press. So it just means that, you know, it's nice and clean for what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have a spare piece of card just to brayer off, and grab another piece of card just in case I need to take another print. Just grab another piece of card. And the reason I haven't got all this out is I always decide at the last minute if I'm going to do a video, but also the other reason is I'm working on deadlines and I haven't had the the time to clear everything up, so my desk's a bit packed. So what I'm doing is I'm using lime Dina Wakley paint. You use any paints you've got in your stash, but I'm using Dina Wakley paints. I like these paints because they're quite heavy body and they're opaque, so I quite like these. But you can use any paints, fresco finish paints, whatever you want. And what I'm going to do is just, let's move this around this way, just spray that paint onto my gel press. And I'm going to brayer off the excess onto a piece of card. Just brayer off the excess. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these skeleton leaves. Which way do I want to? Let's do it that way. So I'm going to place these skeleton leaves onto my gel press. Just like so. Just place them on there. And then I'm just going to press this piece of card, which is 4.5 inches by 6.5 inches, onto the gel press. And this is Centura Pearl card, the reverse, but you can use Pink Frog, absolutely fine. And I've got a lovely background from the skeleton leaves, and even like where it's missed. And if you don't like where it's missed, you can just dab it again with a bit of the colour from the edge, just so that you've got that bit of colour. But I just love that background. So then we can lift these skeleton leaves up like so. Lift these up. Oh yes, of course you can, Tracy. And I've got these skeleton leaves, which are a beautiful colour now, which I can also use in the project. So I'm not going to take the print straight away. I think I'll just let that dry for a few moments. So while that dries for a few moments, I'm just going to dry my hands. So what we've got here is, we've got the skeleton leaves, which is lovely. So that's one background. We've got this background where we've just been braying off. Just put the gel press on one side because that paint is still quite wet. So, and I've just put my hand straight in the paint again, which is just jolly good, Tracy. So I've still got this here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I wonder if you can get a print from the skeleton leaves by just doing it straight on the top. Let's just get some white paint. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work anyway. Take some white paint. So this is not white, this is heavy cream, Tracy. I've picked up the wrong one. So we don't want heavy cream. That's because I've got that many paints out on my desk. That serves me right. I want the snowflake white. So use the snowflake white. Now I'm just playing around really, just while I wait for the paint to dry. Just going to place this on here, like so. So this is the skeleton leaf we used before, and I was just wondering if the white paint would show up. Yes, it does. So that's brilliant. You can just get some textures in the background from your skeleton leaf. So you can create another background by doing that. I will probably use this skeleton leaf anyway, just in the background, but just to prove that you can get a bit of a print. Oh, my camera can't focus. You can get a bit of a print as well. Why is my camera not focusing? You can get a bit of a print on there as well from the skeleton leaf. So just different ways you can use everything. So we've got 3 backgrounds. So I'll just brayer over the white. So So I'm just adding the white. You know this piece that we've just braided over and then we just tested the leaf on it. I'm just braiding over with the white, and then what I'm going to do, just creating another background while we're at it. Just because it's a perfect time just to create a couple of backgrounds for projects, and then I've got them. So what I'm going to do now is just add a little bit of this green, because there's plenty of blue in there at the moment. So just pick up a little bit of this line. And what I tend to do is I brayer out the paint. I sort of lift my brayer, and then I can add some of that very lightly. You're using light pressure and you're using sort of a flicking motion. It lifts up towards the end. So you're using a flicking motion. So just so you can see that you've got that bit. And the more layers you add, the more texture you add. So we'll go back to the turquoise, add a little bit of the turquoise. And then I can add a little bit of that turquoise over the top. And what I'll do is I'll just wipe my mess up. This is what I like about spending a little bit of time just to play. It really is good to just have a proper play. So just so you can see, you can still see a little bit of that skeleton leaf print in the background here, but you can see that you've got the turquoise, you've got the lime, you've got the layers underneath, and that's just a braided off piece, so it's perfect. So we've got the braided off piece, we've got the skeleton leaf piece, and we've also got the skeleton leaves, which are just beautiful as well. I like to find ways to use things. So what we can do now is just, you can't use your heat tool or anything like that on your gel press, so please don't do anything like that. I'm just going around and the paint is still wet. So what I'll do is, just while that dries a little bit, I'll show you a workshop that I've got, a pre-recorded workshop. We could have just taken that print straight away, really, because it was wet enough. We could have taken it straight away, but I'm letting it dry because then I can have a layer of white over the top, hopefully. But can you see those lovely skeleton leaf prints? Don't they look fantastic on there? They look brilliant. But while we just wait for that to dry a couple more minutes, I'll show you a workshop that I've done. It's a pre-recorded workshop. It's workshop 51, and it's for journal pages. So if you'd like to join this workshop, it's £15, and if you email me, tracy@craft-addicts.co.uk, and then you can join me. This was a lovely journal page to create. Really enjoyed it. It was great fun. I really enjoyed the process. So I thought I'd show that for a few minutes. Plus it just stalls for a few minutes, doesn't it? It stalls. Right. Let's see if we can do a little bit of wafting. Just to make my skeleton leaves are now flying all over the place, which is hilarious. Just give that a waft. You see, what you can do is you can go and make yourself a cup of tea. So go and make yourself a cup of tea, have a piece of cake. Maybe you shouldn't have a piece of cake, but you could have a piece of cake and just sit for a good 10 minutes, and you can make sure that your gel print is dry. All those leaves, you see, the leaves are dry. The leaves are dry because that paint is quite thin, so the leaves are quite dry. So what we'll do is we'll take that risk and we'll take that print. So me just have a look. You can always tell if it's wet because it's quite shiny. It is quite a shiny. And also the giveaway clue is that when your hands are wet, it's often a giveaway sign, that is, if your hands are wet with paint. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some of my snowflake paint. Now, what I tend to do is I'm going to add my paint to my non-stick craft sheet, and I'm going to brayer that out, and then I can just prime my brayer, and then I can just apply the paint. It means I don't apply too much paint, so I can just apply the paint, remove the excess like so, and you should be able to see the print underneath. You should be able to see those leaves underneath, which you can see in that picture. And then I've got a piece of pink frog card. You can tell it's hit and miss with my card. It's whatever I've cut at the time. I'm good like that. Whatever happens to be cut at the time. Now, if you've got some dexterity problems, just use your brayer. If you've got a few little dexterity problems and your wrist is a little bit weak, just use your brayer. And you can tell when your print is taken because there's some resistance. There's resistance when you come to pull it up. So you can tell that your print is taken. Oh, and it is taken beautifully. Look at those. Oh, I just love them. Look at that. Now that is beautifully delicate and beautifully classy. Just love that. Now, if you wanted, you didn't have to add the white layer. When we first did it, you could have just taken the print and the background would have been your white card, but I didn't want that. I wanted all this in the background. So we're going to grab this piece of card we've been brayering off, again, another piece of card, and just pick up. Let me see if we've got anything left. So get a little bit more of the snowflake paint. Prime that brayer and see if you can get any more of that paint up. And this is what I call the worn wallpaper technique. You get a worn wallpaper effect, and it's great fun because you never know quite what you're going to get. And this is why it's called worn wallpaper, because it looks, come on camera, it looks like it's been, what if I put a piece of, just bear with me a second, just if we put a little piece of white underneath there, that's it, it focuses a bit better, but you can see it's like a worn wallpaper effect. Got that many things chucked around everywhere. So at the moment we've made so many backgrounds and I only wanted one background for one card. This is the thing when you do the gel press. You think you're going to be playing for 5 minutes, and 2 hours later you've got about 35 gel press prints and you haven't made one card. But that's part of the fun. Absolutely adore this background. Absolutely love that background. And again, I've got another print. So we won't play anymore, else we'll end up with nothing done. Let's put that down. Let's have a little bit of a clean up. Let's just get our desk back in order. Even my brayer's getting a bit crispy now. It's got some layers of paint on there. So I need to give that a little bit of a wash. You could just pick up as much paint as you possible from your non-stick craft sheet and just apply that to your brayered off piece. So let's just have a look what we've got. So we've got the worn wallpaper, technique. We've got our skeleton leaves that we're going to use. We've got our braid off piece, and we've got our skeleton leaves that we took the first print. So we've done quite well there for prints. So let me just see. And I've got this strip of card that was left over. I wonder if I can cut that the same size. I think it's a little bit smaller. Let me just check. No, it isn't. So let's just cut that so I can perhaps make another card. Let's just cut that worn wallpaper. So how I've got these scraps of card left, so I actually want to use them. So was that 2.5? 2.5. There we go. What happened is I've got loads of scraps of card left. So I was thinking, out of that worn wallpaper one, I can create like a bookmark card that will go like that. So that was the worn wallpaper one. So I was thinking I can create like a little bookmark card out of that. And then what I'm thinking is this is the one that we're going to use. I just love, I think what a beautiful background that is. Absolutely gorgeous. So, did I put some stamp sets out? Yes, we did. So what I was thinking was, on the Great Outdoors stamp set, I'll just have a look. This is well used. Still got paint all over my hand. Don't ask me what the paint's off, but I have still got paint all over my hand. But what I was thinking was, let's just move that because it's falling off. If you find your stamps are falling off your carrier sheet, it's because they just need washing at the back. Mine is so covered in paint, embossing powders. It's mainly paint layers though, and the poor thing, look how filthy that is. The poor thing needs a good clean. So just wash in soapy water, and the self-cling will all work all over again. That's just all it is. But mine is filthy, that's why. Poor thing is well loved. So what I was thinking was, we've got this, can you see this leaf print here? You've got that leaf print there, and I'm thinking this leaf print would look quite nice there. Now, I want to do a card that's quite simple and not too overpowering, because I don't want to lose too much of that detail in the background. So let's just have a little bit of a play with colours. So we've got this verdant, and do we have like a turquoise? I bet my turquoisey colour is in the other room, because I've been playing with the. Let me see if I can go find the turquoise. Just bear with me a second. Yes, my warm breeze was in the other room because I've been doing samples for my show. So the warm breeze was in the different room. So I was thinking maybe these two colours. So what we're going to do is we'll test those two colours just to see what they're like. Another piece. You know, I've got that many scrap pieces of card. Nobody needs as many pieces of scrap card as I've got. Let me just move that out of the way. So let's just test this. So I'm going to use that verdant. Now we just need to make sure that we don't get the Wellington and we don't get nature. And then we need a little bit of that turquoise. Let's just see what it looks like when it's stamped. Just so that we've got an idea. I mean, obviously it's going to go on a coloured background, so it'll be a little bit more subtle. Yes, I think that would go nicely. Do we think? Have we not got a slightly paler colour? I don't think there's a paler colour in the... I think that's all the blues. So what we're going to do is bring in, let's get an acrylic block, which I think is around here somewhere. Let's just add that part of that stamp. And what we'll do is we'll ink that up. Like so. And then just little touches of the warm breeze, just little touches of the warm breeze, just so it's not too overpowering. We don't want it too overpowering. So just add this here, and we're going to, I've only got half of it added to the acrylic block. And what I'm going to do is decide where I'm going to add it. So I think we're going to add there, like so. So I'm just going to allow that to sit on the card. I'm not going to, I don't need to press too hard, but I just need to allow that ink to sit on there. Just to give it time. And I can lift that acrylic block using the border ones, so I can lift that quite nicely just to make sure I get a good oh yes, lovely. Let me show you that, just so you can see that. And I haven't overpowered it with that turquoise, so that looks quite nice. So what we're going to do is, let's see, oops, let's move this out of the way. It's funny, once I get started, I feel quite inspired. So let's, so do we want this way? This is that little border. You know, this little piece that I'd got out of the worn lipstick where I cut it 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches by, is that 6.5? Let's have a look. Two and a half by 6.5. There's always something I have to measure, have you noticed? So I'm just wondering, so I've got my card here. This was literally a bit of card that I'd got left, but I'm thinking, do I want it that way? Like so. Or do I want it that way? I hope you spend as much time faffing like I do. See, it's quite nice with just that there. Oh, I'm a nuisance, I am. I really am a nuisance. Right, so what I'm going to do, don't make 2 cards at the same time. That's what you don't do. And don't have so many stamp sets out. You don't actually have enough room for anything. So what I'm going to do is use the Verdant. Is it Verdant? Verdant. Just ink that leaf up again. This is what I adore. I know they're my stamps, and of course I like my stamps, but this is what I adore about my stamps. The fact I can use little bits. So I'm going to use that Warm Breeze again, and I'm just going to pick up little areas, maybe a little bit more this time, only a little bit. So I'm not even using the Wellingtons, and you've still got the Wellingtons on there. Just move that out the way. Let's make it so it's not quite so perfect. There we go. So just press that on there. And I love it just because I'm using part of the stamp. It makes me happy using part of a stamp. And you can have these Wellingtons, you can put flowers inside as well, and you can have things standing on them. I love the fact that I don't get bored of the old stamps, new stamps, doesn't matter what stamps they are. I just love them all just as much. So can you see? Just love that. Let me just move this out the way. And can you see, if I wanted to put that on a black mat and just added that to here, you don't have to have anything else if you don't want. There's a clean and simple card, classy, and you don't have to put anything else. You can just put a little wish, which I will put on. May even put my little rabbit on, but you don't have to have anything too overpowering. Phew, I have gone hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the window, because I'm a woman of a certain age and I need fresh air. Whew, because I am absolutely stifling. So let's just put that stamp set back, just so that we keep our stamp sets in order. We may use it again. Well, we will be using it again actually for the sentiment. So just place that on there. And then I want to grab my little up and away stamp set. So when I stamp, it'll be that way, won't it? So we can have a couple of little friends. Where's our little? So we can have a couple of little friends on our leaf, which is what we're going to have. And the idea is I'm not going to overpower these cards, but I still want a little bit of detail. Just putting that at an angle because it just makes it easier for me to stamp. Put the little frog. It's because I saw green. Oh dear me. You could actually put my frog on there. I've got a bigger frog and some smaller frogs, so you could actually put the frog on there. What am I like? Oh, I've picked the wrong ink pad up. I picked the blue. It doesn't matter because I'm going to stamp it over the top anyway. Going to go over the top with black, so it's not a problem. It's just so I don't have to cut the legs out. And then let's just have a look at the little rabbit. Which way does he go? So he can be on there as well. Do you know what? No, I'm just going to have the little fox. Don't want to do too much. The rabbit might go on the next one. So what we need now is a scrap of card. You see, I've still got this one that I stamped before that we could perhaps do something with as well. So I need a scrap of card. So let's have a scrap of card. And let's take my little fox again. Let's try and stamp him in black this time, shall we? So black Nocturne ink. Like so. And then I'm just going to colour him lightly. So I've got a couple of green pencils. And I'm just going to use a little 2HB pencil. Whoops. So I'm just going to use my 2HB pencil just to add a little bit of shading to my fox. But we're going to colour his little scarf in a little bit of colour. And I'm just going to leave the centre area a little bit open, just so that I've got some white highlight. Just do his tail. So I'm just scribbling. And then I can just blend with a paper stump the grey. And I can leave a white area, just so there's a highlight. And it's lovely because it blends nicely. Just leave a little highlight. Then if you don't leave a highlight, you can just add it with a gel pen. So I'm just going to add a little bit of shading just under his scarf, because there'll be a little bit of darkness there. There'll be a little bit of shadow. Just there, a little bit of shadow under his arms, because there'd be a little bit of shadow there as well. There we go. Just make sure that's smoothed out nicely. And then we're just going to add a little bit of green just to his scarf. Just a little bit and a little bit. These are just polychromo pencils, which I should have sharpened before I began, because a sharper polychromo pencil is much easier to lay down the pigment. So just laying that a little bit darker there, a little bit darker, then coming with the light. And I'm just leaving a little open area just to give some lightness. Let me just show you that, just so you can see my little fox. Isn't he lovely? Love that little fox. So I'm just going to cut him out, and I'm probably going to leave a little white border. So we'll probably, for me, cut the legs out, mainly because I stamped them in blue when I should have stamped them in black on the actual project. So you stamp them in black, then you don't have to cut the legs out. But I'm just going to leave a white border, mainly because also I've got the blue background on the card, the blue and green background, and I think a little touch of the white might just make it pop a little bit more. That's obviously just personal preference. You can do whatever suits you on your card. So just, oh, it's lovely hearing that. I can hear my ponds outside and it's quite relaxing. Do you know what I'm supposed to be doing today? I'm supposed to be making samples. Am I making samples? No. But I want to get into the habit. I don't want to neglect my YouTube channel. I want to try and keep it going with little bits of content so that it becomes like a virtual diary that even I can look back on and look back on techniques. So it becomes a virtual diary for me. So just so that you can see that lovely fox, there we go, and my grubby hands. So then I can add my fox here. Don't he look lovely? Bless him. So we've got our little fox. You do know he's going to have to wear a hat, don't you? Of course you do. He's definitely got to wear a hat, because he's a dapper fox. So just add that there. Make sure his little leg sticks down. Stick down. Thank you. Leave his little scarf so it looks like it's blowing in the wind. Then we'll grab his little hat. I was just about to say, where have I put the acrylic block? It's right by me. I can lose anything, I can. Let's grab that little hat. Like so. And should he have a green... Oh, sorry, I've just knocked the camera. Very professional. Of course he should have a green hat. And we'll just do a little green hat for him. Oh, feel a little bit better now. The body temperature's gone down a little bit. Phew, I was hot before. So just add a little bit. So I wonder, have you got anything good planned for the weekend? Anything nice? Because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing today, I think I'll be making samples tomorrow. But never mind. I can have a relaxing Friday. Might take the dogs for a walk. I was just speaking to my friend, talking about walking and the fact I'm trying to just keep active, just with a little bit more exercise. Nothing major, just a little bit of a walk now and then, just to keep me active so I'm not just sitting all the time. So there's our hat. Let's cut out our hat. Like so. And the hat's going to have a little white border as well. Like so. Do you know, I'm such a slow worker. How can a simple card take me so long? There we go. Let's just have his little hat, which will go there. Don't want it over both his ears like that, or one ear. No, it's got to go over both like that. I can't believe I'm talking to a piece of card. I am. I even make up stories while I'm doing them. I know, there's no hope really, is there? So just so that you can see, this is what we've got so far. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, where's that first stamp? Set the Great Outdoors. Let's just move this here. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this stamp and I'm just going to add some little details. So it should be that way. So what I'm going to do is take the Verdant again, Versifying Clair, and then the Warm Breeze. And just add a little bit of detail. And I'm just going to use it as is. I'm not going to use an acrylic block, just so it's a little bit more random and not regimented. There we go. Just so that you can see that. Looks a little bit more free rather than too regimented. So just so you see, when it's done, it's going to be added to a black mount like this. So just loving this, absolutely love it. Things like this make me happy. And then what does this sentiment say? Do you know, what does it say? I can't even, I've got that many stamp sets. Find beauty in the simple things. Do you know, perfect sentiment, find beauty in the simple things. Let's grab that acrylic block, just move this out of the way. I think we should all find beauty in the simple things. Just grab my piece of card, scrap of card, and I'm going to use black Nocturne ink. Don't think I've laid that down quite straight. Normally it's better to place your stamp onto a lined glass mat, and then you can see that you've got it straight. But I'm going to cut this up anyway, so it doesn't matter. So just stamp that, and I still, even with a simple sentiment, just make sure that I give that time to rest on there, like so. And then we're just going to cut these up. It's funny, when I'm cutting sentiments, I like to use a bigger pair of scissors. I just find it easy so it doesn't look too much of a wavy line. So let's bring this in. Fine beauty. And the simple things. Of course, I had to read the sentiment out. You should know me by now. I have to read what is straight in front of me, because it's just me. It's just the habit I have. Probably drives some people mad, but I just can't help myself. Whenever I'm putting something down, if it's words, I have to read them out. Even if I read them out 5 times, I have to do it. I just can't stop myself. Now I'm trying to stop myself from reading them out. Do you have funny little quirks like that? I mean, I have funny little quirks more than everybody, but you all know what my quirks are by now. Just see, you don't have to, everything doesn't have to be too overpowering all the time. You know, yes, I love my layers, but I also like to do things that are a little bit more pared back and don't have to have 100 layers. So just a little bit of shading around the sentiment pieces. Now, you would let your sentiment pieces dry. You would make sure that the adhesive had grabbed a hold and you weren't trying to add shading around a sentiment piece that moves because the adhesive hasn't stuck. So you would just do that once dry. So just adding this little bit of shading around here. There we go. Just not going to add too much water, just so that it isn't too overpowering, because we've got a nice fresh background, so I don't want to flood that pigment from that Inktense pencil. That's just a grey Inktense pencil. You can use a grey oxide ink pad, whatever you've got at hand. And if you haven't got skeleton leaves, well, that doesn't matter. You can stamp a leaf in the background, or if you want to do the gel press technique, go and get a leaf out the garden and just add that. Just so that you can see. Just love that. Absolutely love it. So just going to, I love that fine beauty in the simple things. How true is that? You're just adding some adhesive. Just to my card. And I tend to just line up the left hand side. I don't stick everything down and then I press it down when I've lined up the left hand side. It always looks better matted on black, doesn't it? So just, we really should get a clean piece of paper. We shouldn't place white card down onto a dirty desk. Just make sure that's stuck down. And then stick this onto a white card. Like so. I tend to stand up just because sometimes I can actually see better what I'm doing. Just do that left side first and then press that down. Really, I should have added the white splatters before I'd added the card blank. But that doesn't matter. Just so that you can see that card. How sweet is that? But let's bring in, we'll have a look at that one again. Let's just put that on one side. Let's bring in this little bookmark card. So we've got this little bookmark card here. And this is going to go on here like this. So, I mean, how lovely is that for a bookmark card? Or even for a bookmark. I just think so lovely. So what I'm going to do, let's just, oops, don't move the camera. Let's grab this stamp set again. Let's just have a look at where it goes. So plant. So let's just ink a little bit of this again, just like the other one. Just ink a little bit of that up with the verdant and then with the warm breeze. And then let's just add a little bit of stamping just on the side there. And again, not using an acrylic block, just so it's a little bit more free. There we go. Just so that you can see that. So you can have it that way if you wish, or that way. But I want two different cards, so it's going that way. So let's just grab my little up and away stamp set, and let's look at my little rabbit. Move that, just grab the little rabbit. Whoops. Just ink the rabbit up. And that's just stamped with Nocturne ink, Nocturne black ink. And I love how they've got little details on the body. Just so that you can see that they've got little details on the body. Makes them a little bit more interesting. You should really colour then cut, but I'm going to cut then colour just to be slightly awkward. Just leaving a white border. Just cut my little rabbit out. And I'm so pleased with these cards, nice and fresh, something a little bit different. Just trying to keep everything, you know, trying to give you as much ideas as I possibly can with my stamp sets. Out. Just leaving a white border around my little rabbit. And if you work with a smaller piece of card rather than a huge piece of card like I'm doing, it makes it easier to cut out. It makes it far easier for yourself than just, well, that is terrible, Tracy. Just cut that a little bit better. That's better. So what I'm going to do now, did I put that paper stump back? I did put the paper stump back, can you believe it? Oh, not that, nearly with my Inktense pencil then. I could have done it with the Inktense pencil. So I'm just going to do it with my 2HB pencil. Oh, and I've remembered to colour his arms. You know what I'm like? I don't colour the arms. I'm really good like that. Right. So you would colour first and cut out afterwards. It's just easier that way. And I've even remembered to colour the limbs. I mean, I don't know why I have a problem. I often leave. I have no idea why. So what we're going to do is just add a little bit of shading just around those folded arms. A little bit of shading just around the ear there. A little bit of shading. Let's just shade that out, blend that out a little bit. Just blending that out a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is, where are those greens? Let's give him a little green dicky bow. We've got to colour his dicky bow, haven't we? Just colour that little dicky bow in. Trying to add a little bit of shading into the dicky bow in the smallest area possible. There's his little dicky bow. And of course, he's going to have a little pink nose. There we go. So he's going to stand there. Oh, bless him. So we'll just add that there. Like so. Leave a little bit of his ears sticking up. Let's just bend them a little bit. Bend them over a little bit. Just looks a little bit more, you know, like it's got a little bit of life. Have I missed a little bit of his ear there? Well, do you know, I don't deserve an award for cutting out this time. Missed a little bit of white card there. Let's just, that's better. There we go. So of course he's got to have a little hat. We do need a little hat. They are dapper gentlemen. Dapper fox, dapper rabbit. Grab them there. And we're going to have a green hat. I nearly did it with the grey. I'm going to do it with the green because he wants a green hat, because he'll get a little bit jealous if the fox has got a green hat and he's only got a plain grey one, so he wants a green hat. So we're giving him a green hat. You could even put good luck, couldn't you, on this card as well. Just add in that little bit of colour. Doesn't need to be too precise. Just cut that hat out. Like so. Just leaving a white space again around the hat, just to make it pop a little bit more. There we go. And you could put a little bit of foam tape if you wished behind, so that it was a little bit 3D. Don't think even my 3D foam tape is here. How I've got a little bit there, but you can add a little bit of foam tape if you wish. Just bring it down a little bit. And then I'm going to add some white splatters. There we go. Then we're going to add a little sentiment. So just move that one out of the way. There's so many things here now. Let's have a look here now. I think I'm just going to add part of this sentiment here. Not all of it, just part of it. Just going to add part of this sentiment. Simple things is what I'm going to add. Just move that out the way. I've got my stamps in the way, I've got everything in the way. So just simple things. So just part of that sentiment rather than the whole. Just cut that out. Simple things like friendships and our garden, nature, just all part of simple pleasures. Right, so we're going to add that here, like so. And this will be our little bookmark card done. I will add a picture to Facebook, but I'll add a picture of the first card first and then a picture of this card the following day, so you can see the close-up details. Again, just a little bit of shading, and this is using that worn wallpaper background that I created. Proves that nothing goes to waste. So just a little bit of shading just around your sentiment. There we go. And then we're going to add this to a black card, which I then thought I'd lost. So we'll just add this to a black mat. So you could do this with scraps of card that you've got left over. Because I was cutting a certain card size, I'd got these little bookmarks left, and I don't want to waste them, because if I wanted to send a friend a little note just to say, you know, just thinking of you, just wanted to say hi, you know, this would be the perfect little notelet to send. And you could even, if you wanted, to put it on with a magnet, then they can take it off and then they can use it as a bookmark if they read books. I mean, I know a lot of people read them digitally now, but the thought is there. So just make sure I've got that up a bit more. See, if I stand up, I always find that I can just judge it a little bit better if I'm standing up. There we go. So let's bring in the two cards. So let me just show you that one first. How lovely. Well, I think that's lovely with that worn wallpaper background. And then you've got the first card we created with the skeleton leaves. Absolutely love them. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend and week ahead. And I'll see you all soon. Take care, everybody. Love to all. Bye for now.